All right. So we're just going to admit it right now. We don't know jack squat about professional football, apparently, because this was maybe the most stunning victory of the Kevin Stefanski era. Maybe the most stunning victory the
Yeah.
Browns have had since 1999. Maybe the most stunning Browns victory since the 1964 championship. Either way, we saw it begin with a fight and it ended with a game long fight between the Browns and the top team, one of the top teams in the NFL right now, in the 49ers, a team in which we had both proclaimed, and I put it on our opener for this week. I didn't want to use other people's clips because it was a little hard to find ones that just outright sold the Browns on winning this game. The only one I could find was what was it, Dante Whitner, who didn't buy the Browns defense pregame, and then he, said he apologized for it after. Um, but look, we knew this Browns defense was really good. And Juan Thornhill said after the game, this is probably the best defense he's been on two Super Bowl teams, by the way, he's been on. To do what you did against San Francisco, and everyone's been talking, like the last couple of 48 hours have been about, oh, well, they lost Christian McCaffrey. Oh, they lost Deebo Samuel. I don't think, by the way, they're using those injuries as excuses. I think they're using it as 49er fans, don't panic. You'll probably be okay. But,
Yeah.
but I can't believe we won that freaking game with a with the XFL former XFL MVP at quarterback, with your second and third string running backs who can play very well, but they're not Nick Chubb. And just some of the standout moments you have in that game, especially on defense, making Brock Purdy look frazzled for the first time in the regular season it boggles the mind. And I'm so happy to have been wrong. And I will. This might be the win that can legitimately, with all the nonsense, with all the talk we've had throughout the first few weeks of the season, this could be a victory that can really change the course of where we were going in this season. Because you get a victory like this, I mean, no one gave you a chance to win that game, not even us.
No. And I think the only thing you worry about now is a letdown, right? I didn't
Sure.
mind the fight pregame. I think it showed you that the Browns are ready, probably
Yeah.
tired of hitting each other
Yeah.
after the bye week. Um, I think karma plays a bit into that too, with Deebo being the guy who kind of led it. And then Deebo also, if you watch the replay, as soon as he hits somebody, he backs out of the way, and then Trent Williams comes in, and that's the last man I'd probably want to fight. And then Deebo gets back into it. It's like, come on, man, like don't hide behind your big offensive left tackle. If you're going to stir the pot and start something up here. But the McCaffrey and Deebo thing, I'd say McCaffrey more might be an argument getting hurt
Sure.
because our corners and safeties and man coverage are just that good. But there's one thing I know, and there's always the saying that'll always stick with me: is the Browns always win a game they have no business winning, and always lose a game they have no business losing. Hopefully, the game they had no business losing was Pittsburgh week 2, and hopefully, the game they had no business winning was this one, because now you're 3-2. You go on the road your next 2, 5 of your next 7 are on the road. But what this does, especially after we watch the defense kind of get thrashed a little bit for the first time against Baltimore, which I can't put on them completely because of how bad the offense was for us.
Mhm.
Right. To have a good defense, you have to be able to give them a break. Our offense was not doing that against Baltimore. And yeah, PJ Walker had his moments, both good and bad. The 2 interceptions, bad. Luckily, it was only 2. He had the one in the end zone that almost got picked in the drive where we kicked the go-ahead field goal.
Right.
But Kevin Stefanski did a lot better job of being able to tailor the game to his quarterback's needs, unlike what we saw with DTR against Baltimore, right? That was a game plan that was like for Deshaun Watson, and it did not change. For him to do what he did, I feel confident that if he is to play this week, we'd be okay. I just cannot believe we won. Mitch, we don't win that game in our lifetime. With how that game's set up to end and everything, like
Yeah.
we knew exactly how it was going to end. Only it didn't end that way. Jake Moody missing his first 2 kicks of his career in the same game with his family in the crowd, which is hilarious because he's a Michigan man.
Oh,
So, yeah, it was poetic, especially knowing Phil Dawson was in the house, right? Phil Dawson was the what's the name they give a guest every time they come to the game and smash the guitar. Either way, that game for the Browns, I think, is season changing. And this team now realizes, hey, we can win. Your running backs did just enough. Amari Cooper had 4 catches for over 100 yards. That was huge. And you had other guys like David Bell, Mitch. We have not
Yeah.
talked about David Bell. He had a big catch to fall down and get that first down for the Browns to keep a drive alive on 4th down. And, there was a couple throws PJ Walker made. You're like, okay, like those are good throws. Like, how do you fit that in there? And then there's other throws, like I mentioned, you're just like, okay, PJ, how about we just not do that again? But 18 of 34, 192 yards. He outperformed Brock Purdy for the most part. He had a touchdown, but it was more a shovel pass to McCaffrey that was the opening touchdown. This team now is going to have expectations because you don't just beat the 49ers and not have those now, especially when you go play the Colts, who are going to be on a backup quarterback. You go to Seattle, who I think you can beat. Then you come home, you play the Arizona Cardinals. Then you go to Baltimore. Then you come home again for the Steelers, I believe. Then you go to Denver and LA. In their next 7, if they're not 5-2, and I don't really care who the quarterback is, because I do think that PJ will get better if he has to be in there for a longer time. Now there's rumors that we should be expecting Deshaun to start this week.
Right.
I feel confident. I really do. Again, I feel confident. There were some nice play calls in there in that series or in that game offensively that it was like, oh, I like that play call. Like that 4th down that Kareem Hunt scored on, right? Where it looked like Harrison Bryant was going to sneak it. That was a really nice play call. I think the biggest acquisition out of anything in the NFL this offseason was the Browns hiring Jim Schwartz.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think you can really deny it now, because this defense that we expected this from the past 2-3 years is here. And they've allowed 1,002 yards through the first 5 games, which is the least amount in over 50 plus years. The next closest was Dallas, but that was before they played last night. So the gap is probably somewhere between 500 to 700 yards now in terms of yards allowed offensively as a defense. This defense is stout. Myles Garrett is playing at a whole nother level, and I think that's partially because of Darius Smith and Okoronkwo and other moves they made. But I'm not going to apologize about a win.
No.
People are like, "Oh, the refs helped you."
Well,
out. Cool.
the refs on both
lost?
ends were bad. The refs on both.
They were terrible.
The referee literally had to apologize. He came out. I've never seen that before. About it. He came out and apologized for getting the reversal of a call wrong. So like that special teams penalty that was the face mask on the Browns. They called it on the Browns, and they're like, "What?" We're looking at the replay, like, what? That's clearly on San Francisco, and then they fixed it.
Yeah.
And then I give credit to what was it, John Hussey and his staff, I think,
Hussey, yep,
for coming out and say our apologies, and even the announcers were like, "I've never seen that before." So I mean, there were just some frustrating calls on our end, but then like on the last Browns drive, like that pass interference penalty, or that was a big one for us to keep the drive going. And then, of course, the one happening on our end where it was on Emerson, I think, to keep the 49ers. That's what got the 49ers going. Think about this. The 49ers, one of the top offenses in the league, just dropped X amount of points on Dallas.
They've scored over 30 points in all their games so far.
Was held to 1 yard before that final drive in the second half.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
And that's after they had the interception, which they scored again on it. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like whatever adjustments we made at halftime, keep doing it. Keep doing it. That's all I care about. Make those same exact adjustments. And last thing, the jerseys we wore, so clean. I absolutely love them. Yeah. I love the all whites.
We were talking about it on the TV the other day, is that they never got dirty. And you'd think that with all white, it would look like all muddied, and especially with the rain on Sunday and we play on natural grass, you'd think they get messed up, but no, they look like the same, and they are very nice. I have a whole thing with how NFL is essentially just allowed. Well, it's more like an NBA issue, but the NFL also allows teams, if you want to wear white at home, you can do that. I know Dallas is the only team that regularly does that, but I kind of have a thing when other teams do that as well. Like, nah, you want to wear your home uniforms, but at the same time, doesn't matter. Keep wearing them if it means we're going to win. It also washes away the stigma of the Pittsburgh game, because I was starting to worry, what if that becomes a cursed uniform? But nevertheless, we had the victory, move on to Indianapolis.